Welcome back. You're watching To The Point. The big news today was the surprise arrest of the Law Minister of Delhi, as well as the way that arrest was done. It's added one more dimension to the angry and escalating war of words between the Aam Aadmi Party on the one hand and the central government, the Lieutenant Governor and the police on the other. So tonight we focus on two key questions. Was the arrest justified and was it handled properly? My guests are Magsaysay Award winner and former police officer Kiran Bedi, Aam Aadmi Party MLA and spokesperson Saurabh Bhardwaj, the Vice Chairman of the Bar Council of Delhi Amit Sharma, BJP spokesperson GVL Narasimha Rao. Kiran Bedi, let me start with one simple question and focus first on this issue of how the arrest was done. I'll come thereafter to the other question, whether the arrest is justified. According to the Aam Aadmi Party, the police came to Jitender Tomar's office, asked to take him home to see papers, stopped the car on the way, changed drivers, made him sit in the back seat and then diverted to a police station. The Aam Aadmi Party says this is like arresting a mafia don or a terrorist rather than the law minister of the Delhi government. Do you believe the arrest was handled properly, given that it is a minister you're arresting, given that at the moment he's innocent and not guilty?
Karan, all I'm aware of is, to the best of my knowledge, is the arrest is based on credible evidence. Now, what has happened in between you and I, nobody's a witness. This is the perception or belief of the AAP party. I can't go by that. They are not witness to it. They're believing it. I'm not witness to it. You not. All I know is that because why I'm saying credible evidence, otherwise they would not have got 4 days police custody. The court has examined all, and on the basis of that, you get custody, which I believe court do not give unless they're satisfied that there are grounds for further investigation.
Mrs. Bedi, absolutely. You're actually arguing that the credible evidence has been established by the fact that the court has given 4 days custody, and therefore that means the arrest was justified. But I'm asking a different question. I'll come to the justification of the arrest in a moment's time. I'm asking whether the arrest was carried out in a fitting and proper way. The fact that he was, it seems, if you accept the Aam Aadmi version, lured into wanting to go home, then the car was diverted, the driver was pushed out, the man himself was pushed into the back seat, and it was then taken to a police station and said, was that proper if it's correct?
The party has their own reasons to spread all this information. I'm no witness, I have no inside information, and therefore I have reasons, they have their own perspective, you can leave it to them.
All right.
I'm not a Delhi police insider to counter it.
Saurabh Bhardwaj, you're coming to us as a spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. You're an MLA of the party. The chief commissioner, the police commissioner, has gone on record to say that the arrest was according to prescribed procedure. Why are you not prepared to accept that?
I think you have to look at the series of events which have happened recently. Yesterday at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, the Chief Minister noted on the file that we would like to reinvestigate the CNG fitness scam in which there can be prosecution for
Mr. Bhardwaj, I'm stopping you. You were late in joining us, so you're going off on a different tangent. Maybe I should inform you we're focusing tonight on two key questions. Later, I will come to the question whether the arrest is justified. At the moment, I'm asking the question, was the arrest done properly? And it's there that I point out to you that your party's argument that the arrest was handled as if a mafia don or a terrorist was being arrested is countered by the police commissioner, who says the arrest was done according to prescribed procedure. Why is your party not prepared to accept what Mr. Basi says?
Yes, what I'll say is that, in the CRPC, Section 41A, which is an amendment in 2008, mandates that Delhi police should have given a notice to an accused before arresting them, and it was for any accused. I think what police did was they arrested Mr. Tomar, who was a minister in the Delhi government, at 10 a.m. and then while they have arrested him in the police station, they served him a notice that they would like to join him investigation at 12:30 p.m. So this is all farce. This is how they made the mockery of the law. They did not provide a notice, they just arrested. And in the second case, even if you want to arrest somebody, there should be, some reason to arrest. You are investigating a case
we'll come to the reason to arrest in a moment's time, because that will be whether the arrest is justified. Let's leave that aside. Let's stick for a moment to this key question: was the arrest done properly? Mr. Tulsi, you're an independent lawyer. I want to ask you two questions, but I'll put them together. First of all, is a notice necessary before you arrest someone, regardless of whether that person is a minister or an ordinary Aam Aadmi like you and me? And secondly, was this arrest, if it is true that it was done the way the Aam Aadmi Party claims, done properly? The Aam Aadmi Party claims that Mr. Tomar was lured away from his office on the grounds he was being taken home. Then the car was stopped en route. The driver was changed. Mr. Tomar himself was made to sit at the back, and the car was diverted to a police station instead of going to his home. So two questions: is a notice necessary? And secondly, in this case, was this arrest done properly, assuming that story from Aam Aadmi is correct?
No, no notice is required in a cognizable offence. The police officer can arrest anybody. The power is there. But the real question is whether there are justifiable reasons for exercise of that power. I can't deny the existence of power, but according to the Supreme Court, almost 90% of the arrests that are made in India are unjustified. So it's an abuse of the process. And I would like to say about the propriety, in this case, according to the media reports, there were two cases at least pending in the High Court. Whether his degree is fake or genuine.
You're going into this question of whether the arrest is justified. I'll come to that later. I'm first asking you whether the arrest was handled properly. Was this the right way to arrest? To lure a man, to divert from his home to the police station? Was all of that correct, assuming it's true?
No. I'm talking about propriety. When the High Court is monitoring the investigation without bringing the facts to the notice of the High Court, to all of a sudden, in a clandestine manner, register the FIR in the middle of the night and then pick him up in the morning in this dramatic fashion is not proper. You must always go back with the evidence to the court which is monitoring investigation.
Okay.
Then thirdly, the speaker is not informed about the reasons of arrest, of the necessity to arrest. Material is not placed before the speaker. The orders of speaker are not taken that this will not constitute breach of privilege. Now, these are the three improprieties in the manner in which the power of arrest has been exercised.
Let me put those to you, Mr. Narasimha. There are three concerns here about the way in which the arrest was done. And I'll come to whether the arrest is justified separately. Firstly, if the Aam Aadmi Party story is true, then Mr. Tomar was lured on false grounds, being told he was being taken to his home, the driver was changed, he was put in the back seat, and the car was diverted to a police station. That's the first concern. The second is the propriety. When the matter is under investigation with the High Court, surely you need to let that process finish rather than jump the gun. And the third is that the speaker wasn't informed. I see himself has gone on record to say he only found out sometime after 3 o'clock. The arrest happened either at 12:30 or 1:30. How do you defend all of that?
I think it is the Delhi police which will certainly be, I think, which is the right agency to answer the questions that you have actually raised. I speak as a spokesperson.
Do you accept that these are credible questions?
No. Yeah, any questions in democracy can be raised. And so certainly, I think there is nothing wrong in raising these questions, but you cannot take the Aam Aadmi Party's versions as correct. In this case, the Delhi High Court is seized of the matter, but the investigations have to be carried by the Delhi police, and they are well within their right. And in fact, it's the duty of the Delhi police to conduct credible investigations and take the matter and evidence before the court. And if the court had found that there was any merit in the allegations that are being made against the process that was followed in his arrest, I think the court today itself would have passed some observations. The court could have denied police custody.
Yes, sure. But you're now coming to talk about whether the arrest itself is justified, where I'm talking about still the manner in which it was done. Mrs. Bedi, I know you aren't here to defend the Delhi police, but you have been a police officer for your professional life. And I want to put to you those concerns of propriety. Do you think that those are real and genuine concerns which the police has overlooked, wittingly or unwittingly, and done damage to themselves?
I still cannot say, I'm not a witness to the process. I have no inside information to the process, therefore I can comment nothing. But all I can speak from my experience is, I've never come across an accused who in the end says, thank you for your arrest. Number two, I've never seen the relatives and friends of the accused saying, police did a great job. They've got to find fault, they've got to express anguish and agony, and even spread canards. So therefore all I can say is, I've never come across an accused of such a kind of an offense to say, police did a great job, they told me, and they're very comfortable with it. I've never. So therefore but another thing, that the police has investigated this matter for 1 month. It was not an overnight FIR. The BJP was, I believe, protesting to say that there is a fake degree. Police said, no, I want a proper Bar Council complaint. They got a complaint from the Bar Council on 11th of May, and that's a statutory body. They started to investigate from 11th of May, followed a judgment of the Supreme Court which said inquiry is important in such cases. They've inquired for weeks, they've gone to Ayodhya, they've gone to Faizabad, they've gone to Tikamganj, they've gone to Bhagalpur, and now they've got the evidence. I think all I can say is, such accused and such parties who stand to lose will never say thank you, police did a great job.
All right, Amit Sharma, I'm going to bring you in at that point. You're the Vice Chairman of the Delhi Bar Council. It is in fact in response to a complaint filed by your council on the 11th of May that the police then carried out their investigations, and those investigations led to them gathering what they believe is sufficient evidence to justify an arrest under a cognizable charge. Now, I know in a sense the police are simply doing what you asked them to do, but you're a lawyer as well as a member of the Bar Council. Do you believe that the grounds for arrest have been properly justified and are therefore well established? You must have heard the police press conference this evening. Are you convinced that they've done their homework effectively, although it is in your case and in your interest?
Well, Mr. Thapar, our complaint clearly says that we had also conducted our own inquiry from the concerned university, of whose alleged certificates had been submitted by Mr. Tomar for enrollment. Now, the inquiry from the concerned university clearly said that the certificates, the mark sheet which he had submitted before the Bar Council were allegedly forged. Now, on basis of this inquiry, and in fact, there were 2 complaints already received, and the 3rd complaint by Mr. Ripudaman Bharadwaj. Then finally, because since we cannot do the investigation concerning all these universities, it was decided that we file a complaint with the concerned investigation agency, and they would do the needful. And now, as been pointed out by Ms. Bedi, that the complaint was filed by us on 11th of May, and the FIR has been registered yesterday. Apparently, the teams have been sent to different universities. The documents submitted by Mr. Tomar have been re-verified and have been forged to be allegedly forged. On basis of that which the FIR has been registered. Now, as far as the question of arrest is concerned, whether it was required at this stage or not, Mr. Thapar, we cannot come into the shoes of the interrogating officer. It is his subjective satisfaction, and it is his decision finally to take that call.
That's a fair point.
And that call has been approved by the superiors.
Let me stop you there. Let me bring in at that point KTS Tulsi. Mr. Tulsi, you drew attention to the fact that there is a similar case in the High Court at the moment. However, that is a case brought by an advocate, a gentleman called Santosh Kumar Sharma. It is not the case or the complaint brought by the Bar Council. The police responded in this instance to a similar matter, but a different case. Therefore, I presume the police feel, having done their investigation, and the police press conference today, if you can accept what they are saying, suggests that there were multiple documents provided by Mr. Tomar, on the basis of which he got his license from the Bar Council, which turned out to be fraudulent and forged, and they verified that to the extent they can by going to the concerned universities. Does that not therefore provide sufficient grounds when you have a cognizable matter to arrest, and therefore justify the arrest?
I don't think so. I don't think so. The minister is not going anywhere. There is no apprehension that he is going to flee the country and the process of law. The High Court is monitoring investigation. It is monitoring exactly the case as to whether these very degrees are genuine or fake. And the police has also filed its status report before the High Court. if they have gathered fresh evidence, then they must place it before the monitoring court. You don't present a fait accompli to the monitoring court. This is gross impropriety, if not contempt, and particularly in view of the developments which may have taken place recently. And then why do they not inform the speaker? You see, this smacks of malafide.
Okay.
The manner in which, this is not a murder case, this is not oral evidence, that you have already secured the documentary evidence. What is the arrest going to achieve except that you want to hound, humiliate and harass a person on political grounds?
So you, before I come to you, you really mean those last few words? Hound, humiliate and harass a person on political grounds? You really mean that that is what the Delhi police has done?
Yes, and the longer they keep him in custody, the worst it is going to be. The central government will be seen to be pulling the strings. It's so unfortunate that they ignore the speaker, they ignore the High Court, they ignore the Bar Council.
I'll stop you there. I'll stop you there, Mr. Tulsi. Let me bring in Mr. Narasimha Rao, who wants to defend, I presume, your central government.
Yeah, I think the statements of Mr. Tulsi are certainly very, I would say, bizarre, because he had not been taken into custody by the police on their own decision. The courts have approved. He was presented before the court.
But he was arrested before that by the police.
But if the court had any objection to the manner in which he was arrested, if the court felt that this was unjustified, why would they have given police remand for 4 days? Because the police have made out a case that they have strong evidence against Mr. Tomar, and they want his remand, they want his custody to be able to further verify and establish the evidence.
Let me put that to, in fact, Mr. Bhardwaj. Mr. Bhardwaj, that's a very cogent point being made by Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao. First of all, if the court felt that the way in which the arrest was done was wrong, in other words, if they believed the story that Ashutosh was putting out or Kumar Vishwas was putting out, then the court would have pointed it out and perhaps said, no, you've done the arrest wrongfully. But the court didn't. And secondly, if the court felt that there were no grounds for the arrest, and that's a separate matter to how the arrest is done, then the court wouldn't have given 4 days of custody. The mere fact that 4 days of custody have been given clearly shows that A, the court had no problem with the way the arrest was done, and more importantly, the court believes prima facie the arrest is justified. There are grounds for arrest in this case. How do you respond to that?
What I'll say is that usually in the bail matters, the courts usually respond to the investigating agencies, prima facie the evidences which investigating agencies will put forward, and investigating agencies are basically representing the state. However, in this present case, what we are alleging is that the state machinery, that means the police, is being manipulated by the central government to use it. So, they are using the whole machinery of the state, including the Delhi police, to manipulate this whole procedure, including the investigation.
Mr. Bhardwaj, I'm not talking about what sort of machinery the police are using. I'm talking about the fact that the court gave 4 days of custody to the police. That surely means that the court believes that there are grounds for the arrest. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given 4 days of custody. Also, it means the court did not question the manner in which the arrest was done.
I think the police would have definitely put up some manipulating facts before the court by showing that, Tomar is needed for the sake of investigation. However, from the plain viewing,
but then you're taking a very dim view of the judge.
The documents.
But now you're taking a very dim view of the judge.
The records of the college and the university.
But Mr. Bhardwaj, now you're taking a very dim view of the judge. If you say the police would have put forward manipulating facts, then you're suggesting by implication the judge got manipulated by the police. Are you sure you mean to suggest that?
No.
Come into his defense. Happily, Mr. Tulsi. Come into his defense. Since you're arguing the same point of view, defend Mr. Bhardwaj.
No, it doesn't mean that the judge got manipulated. You see, the discretion with the court for grant of remand under section 167 is very limited. And once the investigating officer, on the basis of genuine or fake arguments or flimsy grounds, says that no, I want to investigate, I want to interrogate, in spite of the fact that there are documentary evidence which he has already taken into possession.
Mr. Tulsi, do you remember just just about a month ago, there was a famous case in Bombay where Salman Khan was convicted and he got bail instantly. First on technical grounds for 48 hours and then indefinitely thereafter. And the court exercised its judgment not to arrest and detain in jail a man who was convicted and found guilty. In this instance, Mr. Tomar is innocent. He's at best accused. If here there are, as you say, no reason to believe he's going to flee and he's the law minister, he continues as law minister, surely the court could have exercised its judgment and said to the police, sorry, there's no need to arrest. You can carry on with your investigations. This is a minister who's not going to flee the country and evade the law. Therefore, I don't grant custody. But the court didn't do that.
That is why the Law Commission of India in its report says that 90% of arrests are unjustified. And Supreme Court relies on this opinion of the Law Commission and cautions the police not to go ahead and arrest people only because they have the power to arrest. They must see as to how is this case going to be advanced.
The court had the power to refuse custody and it didn't, and that's the point I'm persisting with, that if the judge wished, he could have said to the police, custody denied, but he didn't. And therefore, when he gives custody, he must believe there are grounds for doing so, and that must mean the arrest is justified.
That means that the court at this stage has no means of knowing whether the allegations which are being made are true or false.
I think you are contradicting Mr. Tulsi. I think Mr. Tulsi is contradicting himself. And if he says the High Court, the matter is pending before the High Court and a police intervention was uncalled for, if that conclusion what he comes to, Mr. Tulsi, the lower court could have easily come to the same conclusion and they could have denied police custody and said let the High Court monitor the investigation, place all the facts before the High Court. The requirement of a custody we will consider after High Court peruses the matter. The lower court can be granted the same level of caution that Mr. Tulsi wants the Delhi police to exercise.
Kiran Bedi, I saw your hand going up, Mrs. Bedi. You wanted to come in when Mr. Tulsi was talking. Go ahead.
Karan, all I can say is getting police custody for a person of this situation and position is not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. The court must have examined everything. He must have, because all these papers had to be placed before the court. Court must have examined everything. I know how tough it is to get police custody, particularly in such situations. And therefore, it goes to the credit of the investigating officer. The manner in which he must have compiled all the evidence and justified, and the prosecutor arguing why they need him for 5 days, and then he's not got it for 1 day, he's got it for 5, they asked for 5 days, he's got it for 4 days, which means through the justification of the magistrate, he's satisfied with the papers before him. So therefore I would say that it is a well-considered plea. The matters have been examined.
Okay, very quickly, Mr. Bharadwaj,
I'm going to ask a question from Ms. Bedi.
Very quickly, sir, we don't have time for a question. Just make a quick comment. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to know whether the police will also arrest the person, the minister in the central government who is being accused of rape and has been summoned in the court.
I think you are completely unaware of the facts, Mr. Tulsi. Willing to have a separate debate with you on this. The High Court, the courts, different courts in Rajasthan have upheld. Have concluded that this allegation against the minister was not against this man. So don't mislead.
It's an interesting point. I'm going to go to you, Mr. Bharadwaj, for the last word. I'm going to put you a simple point. Many people would have heard the police press conference today. Laymen, they are not judicial-minded people, but they'd have seen the extent to which the police was showing documents, not one or two, but it seemed like multiple documents, on the basis of which Mr. Tomar got his license as a lawyer, and all of which the police was suggesting turned out to be forged or fraudulent. That weight of suggestive evidence produced by the police has swung a lot of people into believing that there is something seriously wrong with Mr. Tomar and his defense. How do you respond to that? Very quickly.
I think all the investigation of the police is based on the single assumption that they are quoting the same roll number, which is a manipulated roll number in all the RTI applications, and by asking all these questions from the universities by quoting a fake roll number, and that's why when you quote a fake roll number, you get a negative reply.
You may well be right, Mr. Bhardwaj. If the police are quoting a wrong number, they'll get the wrong result. You may well be right, but we don't know whether that is the truth or not. But if it is the truth, you may well be right. I'm going to have to leave it there. This is clearly an issue that we will be returning to in days to come. But for tonight, I want to thank my guests for joining me and to say, if you have been, thanks for watching. Goodbye.